Hi everyone, welcome to the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. It's 3 o'clock, we're here for Go Local Live. I'm your host, Rachel Nunes. We have a very full show today. First off, we have Winnie Brownell. She's the Emeritus Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of Rhode Island. We're very honored to have her here. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm delighted to be with you, Rachel.
And congratulations are, of course, in order. The Rhode Island International Film Festival has dedicated this year's season to Dean Brownell. It kicks off tonight with the opening night screening, and there's also a scholarship in your name as well, so many congratulations.
Thank you. It's really a great honor to be recognized for doing something you love. And obviously, I love my career at the University of Rhode Island and working with film and related fields.
So in your time at URI, you were always a big advocate for the arts. That was always a big yes. push of yours. So
the arts and humanities.
Yes, yes, of course. And so have you been involved with the Rhode Island International Film Festival in the past?
Yes, I was invited in the very early days. I've been going every year. I was invited to serve on the board, and I agreed immediately because I thought, what a wonderful resource here for the people of Rhode Island. Be able to go and see all these filmmakers and their creative work, and so I was absolutely thrilled to get involved, and I've been so pleased to see how the festival has grown and improved every single year.
It has, yes. It seems every year there's more filmmakers in different categories, and we also have the Kids Eye short films being screened tonight, which is really exciting. We had the director of that camp on about a month ago, so it's really exciting for local kids. And it's really just a great opportunity for local artists to be able to showcase their work.
And actually, among the over 6,000 entries, they're from throughout the world. So there's homegrown talent, and there's talent everywhere, every continent but Antarctica.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
What a great honor for the state. And so tell us a little bit about the scholarship as well.
Well, George Marshall, I am very grateful to George because he decided to not only dedicate the festival to me, but to start a scholarship in my honor. And top students who work with film in the arts and humanities in the Harrington School of Communication and Media at URI can apply. We have several applications this year, and 4 of the finalists will be in the audience tonight. We'll be presenting the scholarship later in the festival.
So we should find out soon then.
Yes, we should. And there's a lot of talent here in Rhode Island, as you can see, a lot of talent in the arts, all of the arts, but also in the cinematic arts.
Absolutely. There's such a wonderful film community here in the state that I don't think that many people really know about, but there's a lot of local filmmakers and student filmmakers and just a lot going on in the cinematic arts here.
And several of the colleges and universities teach something about film, whether they have a major or not. Films become an important kind of text, if you will, in education, and obviously in e-commerce and in entertainment, of course, and also in storytelling for documentaries, both short and long form. So it's a powerful medium, and it's great that we have all these opportunities for young people today to study film.
Oh, absolutely. Especially in today's world of digital media, it's not just about, go to the movies, watch a film. There's so many different ways to experience media, whether it be through social media or various ways online. It's really a completely different experience.
Right. I think some of our students, some of our alumni, I should say, who once envisioned that the only path was through, let's say, Hollywood and studio films, now recognize the power of commerce and that they can tell powerful stories in very short form that are used on the web to sell products and services or public service announcements. And that's become a very popular career pathway for many of our best students.
Absolutely. There are so many different things you can do, and really it's great to be able to explore your passion that way. And so you spent decades at URI tirelessly working to improve the university. What would you say were some of your pet projects while you were there?
Well, one of the things I believe strongly in the value of a liberal arts education. And one of the things I was very pleased to see the liberal arts continue to strengthen. We were able to attract a phenomenal faculty. I'm most proud of the faculty I was able to attract, and outstanding students. And we're very, very proud of them and our alumni. George Marshall is one of them, in fact. And I'm really proud of finally getting the film major launched. We were so thrilled. We've been teaching film at URI for over 40 years. And we had to hire the right kinds of expertise to make sure we had the complete package to offer students a comprehensive major, which we did. And I'm also very proud of building and launching the Harrington School of Communication and Media, and much more. We really went global under my watch. And in fact, the film festival went global. If you look at those over 6,000 entries, as I said, they're throughout the world. And our students now recognize that they can, even if they get a job with a Rhode Island company, they're very often doing business throughout the world. So it was important to build up our language offerings and our cultural offerings. But I decided when I retired that I wasn't going to rest. There were a lot of great organizations that I could help. And so luckily, people invited me, and now I'm very busy, as busy as when I was dean, working for the arts and humanities.
Well, clearly your influence is doing something right then. You've helped to build up the film festival, you've helped build up URI to what it is today, so it's no wonder everyone's banging down your door to get your help.
Well, it's a labor of love. I really enjoy working in the arts and humanities where I can. And Rhode Island is a great state where we have so many wonderful resources, and people who are interested in these things can give their time and continue to improve the quality of life in Rhode Island.
I think that's one of the great things about living in such a small state is you have so many opportunities to experience all the different culture. Like here in Providence, we have such a rich arts culture and food culture, and it's so accessible for everybody in the state, and especially if you're attending a university, even at URI, which is by Rhode Island standards very far away.
Right.
It's still accessible to be able to come and experience that and learn from it.
I know, I was amused by Rhode Island geography-itis, where people think you have to pack an overnight bag if they go from South County to Providence or to Newport, but I can assure people it is doable in one day to go
Just
and
fill
return.
up your gas tank, you'll be fine.
And the opportunities here to enjoy arts and culture are just phenomenal. They're as good as any place in the world, if not better. And we are very blessed to have so many talented artists who have chosen to settle here and work here and share their creative efforts with us, whether you're talking about the literary, cinematic, visual, or performing arts. We have a rich array of talent here.
We certainly do. And so are there, going back to URI a little bit, were there any projects you wish could have come to fruition while you were there,
Yes.
or things that
Great
you're
question.
pushing for?
Great question. You know, if I mention other things I'm proud of supporting, I was very proud of supporting the International Engineering Program that partnered engineering degrees with language and culture.
Fantastic
degrees.
program.
But one thing I did not achieve, and I really wanted to, was to renovate the Fine Arts Center. This is something that
the
is
great stone around our neck.
Fantastic resource for Rhode Island, the largest venue in South County, and really something we need to do because we host not only terrific classes and performances. We just finished the Kingston Chamber Music Festival that was outstanding. We also host various high school events, festivals, graduations. We've hosted the Supreme Court there. It's a wonderful place, and it's falling apart. And so we need to keep the 4 performance spaces because they're excellent, and then rebuild the rest of it because this is something we need to do for Rhode Island for future generations. And I'm confident that we will get it done. I wish it had happened on my watch, but I did finish the Beaupre Center for Chemical and Forensic Sciences, and I'm proud of that. But the next step is the Fine Arts Center.
So what's been the holdup? I know there's been some media lately, some buzz from students. There was various graffiti on the walls about a coat of paint won't fix it. There's been a lot of buzz around the Fine Arts Center at URI, and it seems for a while now people have been saying we need more. So what's held it back?
Well, I think it's probably resources, and there were a lot of projects in the queue. The residence halls have now been refurbished and they really look stunning. The new pharmacy, the Evedizian Hall was completed, the Center for Biotech and Life Sciences, the Beaupre Center, and the new engineering complex. I understand voters will have a chance to approve a plan for the oceanography campus, the Narragansett Bay campus. The administration came up with a great idea, though, for the Fine Arts Center, to break the project up into five-year tranches of funding, and that makes it doable if we can continue with this, and we've already had the first two. We will save the state $36 million in debt service. So it's really an exciting plan. I'm so proud of the administration for thinking of this, and they're working closely with the governor to make it happen. So the architectural and engineering work has been done, and we patiently are awaiting the next 4 phases.
So fingers crossed then that,
yes,
that we get some progress soon.
Absolutely. And students certainly deserve it.
Absolutely. And they are such beautiful facilities that they have there. The Will Theater with their absolutely massive, yes, stage and.
Right. The Will Theater, the J Studio, the Black Box Theater, the recital hall, and the concert hall will all be preserved. They just need to be brought up to code. But the rest of it needs, if you've ever been in there and seen the outside or the inside, you know we have to do something about this. Absolutely. So
circling back a little bit, you mentioned that you've been recruited for all sorts of different projects. Could you just touch a little bit on what are some of the projects you've been working on?
Well, I agreed to serve on some boards. I'm working on I'm the vice chair of the Rhode Island Historical Society. It's a wonderful organization, and Dr. Morgan Greff is the executive director. I can't speak highly enough about her. What a terrific resource for Rhode Island. I'm on the Rhode Island Council for the Humanities, and Elizabeth Francis heads that. She's a phenomenal director. I'm on the International Engineering Board as an emeritus member. I'm on the Rhode Island International Film Festival, the Kingston Chamber Music Festival, and I'm on the Harrington School of Communication and Media. So I also just recently agreed to work with a team to celebrate the 42 years at the South County Montessori School, where we're wishing farewell to a phenomenal director, Marika Moosbrugger.
So lots of involvement both at URI and beyond.
Yes, and I'm busier than when I was, as busy, I should say. I'm as busy as I was as dean, because I'm also babysitting my twin 3-year-old grandson.
Lots of fun.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you so much for boxing off a little bit of your very busy schedule to speak with us today. We really do appreciate it, and biggest congratulations on the dedication of this year's festival and also your namesake scholarship. That's truly a wonderful honor, and we're very happy for you.
Well, thank you very much, Rachel.
And thanks so much for joining us. And we will be right back in just a minute. We'll be back with a Brown scientist talking about the science of smell. So you don't want to miss it. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. We're here now with Dr. Rachel Hertz. She's a Brown professor. She's a leading expert on the psychology of smell, and she's a newly released book called Why You Eat What You Eat. Absolutely fascinating. Congratulations on the book, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Rachel. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, sort of in a larger sense, I look at how our senses and our mind, our motivations, our emotions, our behaviors are all intertwined, and the influences that shape our relationship with the world around us that are mediated through our senses and our psychology.
And so what inspired you to take all of that, all of your research, and make it into this fabulous book?
Well, the sense of smell, as you probably can tell, is very related to our experience of food. In fact, what we call taste is really flavor 99% of the time, and that basically comes from our nose, because taste is just salt, sour, sweet, and bitter. The flavor of bacon, everything that makes bacon not salt, actually comes from your nose. Likewise, chocolate is just sweet, maybe a little bitter. Everything else has to do with your nose. And so I wrote my first book, which was about the sense of smell, called The Scent of Desire. The next book I wrote was called That's Disgusting, and believe it or not, disgust is a taste-based emotion.
Really?
It actually evolved out of our rejection of bitter taste, and the face you make if you taste something really bitter, and I tell you to hold your neighbor's dirty dentures, is actually the exact same face. And so with those two prior pieces of work, I have always loved food. I love food, I love to eat, and I felt like, okay, now I have to get into what I really, really am passionate about, which is eating and food.
That's so fascinating. You never think that, because even if we're not smelling something, even if we just see something that we don't like, it's the same reaction.
You mean in terms of disgust or in terms of everything? Well, yeah, so yes, exactly. So from the point of view of our emotion of disgust, if you saw, for example, some snakes and you didn't like snakes, you would make the same face as you would if you tasted something bitter. And so, or even if you thought about immoral politicians or terrible things happening that you were really emotionally disgusted by, you actually make a similar kind of a face. So there's this really interesting interplay between this sort of very rudimentary avoidance of poison, because the reason why we make that face is because it's actually a rejection face. It's about spitting something out or not letting something in, and that's about making sure that poisons from the outside don't come into our inside. And it evolves all the way up to psychosocial kinds of things.
That is absolutely fascinating. And so what were some of the other interesting findings that you that you put in the book?
Well, let's see, there's so many, I can't really think of them, but one of the things I really find amazing, that was actually amazing to me when I was doing the research for this book, is really how powerful the mind is in terms of controlling not just our perceptions on kind of a basic level, but even our physiology. And there was this amazing study done at Yale by Alia Crum, who's now at Stanford University, and she actually basically produced a placebo effect with milkshakes. And as a function of people believing in one situation that they were consuming a really, really caloric milkshake, compared to in another situation where they had the exact same milkshake but they thought it was really low calorie, in the high calorie condition, their metabolism is revved up 3 times more than they did in the low calorie condition, and in both cases actually not related to the reality of the calories. And so that actually showed that our mind controls our metabolism. And so the trick is to convince yourself that what you're consuming has tons of calories, even if it doesn't, so your metabolism will be revved up. That is to say, if you want that. That's
fascinating. Yeah, great new weight loss tip. Just tell yourself that your kale is terrible for you, and you'll be fine.
Oh my God, that kale! I should have it for dessert instead of lunch.
Oh, such an indulgence. Yeah. And so you had a write-up in the Brown Alumni Magazine, and there were some fascinating tidbits in there as well. And if I'm correct, so if you like salt, that can be traced back to your mother when she was pregnant. Is that correct?
Well, potentially. So that's just one avenue. I mean, the basic thing when it comes to salt, actually, salt is a taste that we inherently tend to like, but it's sort of dose dependent. Salt triggers or signals usually the presence of protein. So from the point of view of like bitter is a signal for poison, sweet is actually a signal for carbohydrates and calories that are really useful, and protein is usually signaled by salt, so that's also really good. But how much salt you like is based on your experience. So the more salt you consume, the more salt you like, the more salt you want, the more salt you use, and get into kind of a vicious circle. But from the point of view of how much salt you use, that could actually be something which starts even before you're born. because what your mother is consuming is getting into amniotic fluid, and you're absorbing that and consuming that while you're gestating. And so this research was really, really amazing, which showed that mothers who had experienced a lot of morning sickness, and by that the idea is that they were dehydrated from a lot of vomiting, and when we're dehydrated, we're actually low in salt, we lose salt, so we actually need more salt. As a function of that, it's unclear whether potentially mothers then actually ate a lot more salt than mothers who didn't have a lot of morning sickness, or because potentially this deprivation state actually also influenced the developing child, such that when they were born, they had more of a craving for salt. So in any event, it was shown that children of mothers who had experienced a lot of morning sickness when they were in college actually preferred higher quantities of salt than children of mothers who didn't have a lot of morning sickness. And also infants right after they were born, mothers who had a lot of morning sickness, they preferred salted water compared to plain water. So there seems to be something about this early exposure that sets the stage for liking more salt and then wanting more salt.
Absolutely fascinating. And so that plays into as well, especially here in Rhode Island, we have such a rich food culture here, and in Providence, that plays into as well the idea, the science of smell and experience of your food. That plays into it as well. You know, if you have a plate of food and it smells really good and it looks really appealing and you've been thinking about it all day, you're going to be more likely to really enjoy it.
Absolutely. So from the point of view of our sense of smell, actually, so smell is a wonderful trigger for food. So you smell the aroma of a restaurant while you're walking by and you're like, wouldn't it be nice to eat something, even if you're not necessarily hungry. So sometimes it can lure us by the nose when we may not always want it to. But it's also the case, actually, that people who have a fully functioning sense of smell are better at maintaining their nutrition and their weight than people who are losing their sense of smell or who've lost it or have an impaired sense of smell in some ways, because the fact that you get the flavor and the richness of food from your nose, having it makes you feel more satiated and satisfied. So if you have lost your sense of smell, food doesn't have that same delicious quality, so you tend to actually go for more of things like sweet and fat and salt, which tend to be higher calories and not necessarily the most nutritious. Whereas if you have your sense of smell, you get fabulous flavor, but you can also be lured to the donut shop or the restaurant or the cinnamons and so forth when you might not want to be.
Oh, absolutely. I know I can't possibly walk through the mall without smelling those delicious pretzels and thinking, ooh, maybe I should get one.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And so your research, what kind of stuff do you like to study? I mean, of course, the science of smell, but specifically, what kind of projects have you worked on?
So the main aspect of my work has to do with how smells trigger more emotional and evocative memories than memories that are triggered by any of our other senses. And so I've done quite a lot of work with that, and actually some recent work on smell that I've done connected to that at Brown University also showed for the first time that our ability to smell actually changes at different times of day, and this has to do with our circadian phase that we're in at the time. And so unlike what we might assume as far as we know about all of our other senses, you can see just as well at 9 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it turns out with our sense of smell that's not the case. And actually our worst ability to smell is between, on average, about 2 a.m. and 10 a.m. in the morning. And this actually has also very significant implications for being woken up by a fire or some other kind of a danger, and why it's really important to have things like auditory fire alarms and other sorts of work devices like that. And I've also done some really interesting recent work at the University of Pittsburgh, the collaboration with Dr. Michael Syett, looking at how pleasant odors can actually help with cravings for people who are trying to quit smoking. And so sort of tying that in also because of the emotional and the associative qualities of it.
So talking about scent memory, which you spoke about a minute ago, it's true that scents definitely bring us back. You smell something, it reminds you of, oh, this reminds me of my grandmother's house, this reminds me of Christmas when I was a kid. Is it true that scent is one of the strongest indicators? I know I've read before, you know, if you're trying to study for a big test, like chew a certain gum, and then if you chew it the next day, it'll help you remember.
Yes, actually did some research showing that quite a long time ago. But so the idea, it's not exactly the strongest. So the thing with smell is that it is one of the things that you can use it for, from example, the testing situation, is to find a smell that you don't already have a prior association to. So not something really common, not like coffee or the cologne that you, perfume that you wear every day. So you find a different smell, and because it can be very uniquely tied to the specific information you're studying at the time, it can then become a really good cue for reminding you of that information later on. So for example, if you had a particular test that you were studying for and you got an unusual fragrance to go along with studying for it, bring that fragrance in for that test, but don't bring it into a different test you haven't studied for, that won't work. And the idea behind our ability to smell and memory is that because of the way in which our sense of smell is hooked up in the brain to the emotional, memory, and associative areas, it is able to trigger memories that are more emotional and evocative than memories triggered by any other kind of cue.
Absolutely fascinating. And you know, a lot of times you think, oh, smell, like it's not that important. Like, you know, it's more important to see or to touch. But it's really fascinating how pervasive it is and how much it affects everything you do.
Well, it actually really is tied to every aspect of our lives. It's tied to our social behavior, it's tied to intimacy, actually especially for women, it's tied to our sense of self because it's so highly connected to memories and emotion. It's tied to our safety, personally, with respect to things like, you know, detecting spoiled food or being able to smell gas. And it's tied to our emotional life in a really, really special and importantly deep way that none of our other senses are. So unfortunately, it's the case that if people lose their sense of smell in some kind of traumatic accident, then they are overwhelmed by how shocked they are that they never really took their sense of smell to be as important as it is. And so I always want people to take the time to stop and smell the roses.
Literally.
Yes. Or the cupcakes or the donuts.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. It's absolutely fascinating. Be sure to check out her book. And where can we find this?
Anywhere. Anywhere books are sold.
All right. So go check it out, a great new beach read, and you can find out why you eat, what you eat. Thanks so much for joining us, Dr. Rachel Hurst. We'll be right back with our next guest right here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. We're here now with Jim Nellis. He's here from Rhode Island Food Fights, and what better time now? We've just learned why we eat, what we eat, and now we can learn what it is we're eating.
That's right, and before we do that, I want to say the Rhode Island Food Fights just opened a checking account at Navigant Credit Union.
Look at that, coming full circle. So tell us a little bit, you just had your July food fight that just ended. Tell us a little bit about that, how'd that go?
Are you referring to the 5th annual Iced Coffee Summer Celebration?
Of course.
Yeah, that happened. It's the search for the best iced coffee in Rhode Island. And
Rhode Island staple. We can't live 1 minute without our iced coffee.
It's bizarre. It's really crazy. And we had 37 coffee shops participating, and we had the biggest crowd of folks ever to go around the entire state during the month of July sampling iced coffees, and it was
So 37 coffee shops in 31 days.
37 and people did it.
Wow,
It was
that's
crazy.
a lot of coffee.
Yeah, well, it's Rhode Island. It's what we do, apparently. It's awesome.
And so have you declared a winner?
We have not declared a winner. We're supposed to declare a winner yesterday, but I was in the weeds. So you want to do it now?
Sure, we would love to.
Is there any sponsorship money? Navigant Credit Union, will you sponsor this? All right, so let's do it. So the People's Choice Award was won by Nitro, the Nitro Bar. They won last year, 2-time champs, and the Judges Award was won by Borealis Coffee in Rumford.
Wow, congratulations to both of you. And unsurprising about Nitro, they seem to be the hottest thing lately. Everybody loves their Nitro cold brew.
Yeah, but I think it's more than a thing. I think the product itself is phenomenal. It really is it's a good iced coffee. It's a great iced coffee apparently, and the folks that are growing the brand and the business are super kind people. They're really nice. And they hustle. They really do a great job. And on the other side of the coin, there's Borealis. They brought a flight of iced coffees.
Wow.
To folks. So people that came in, they sampled 4 or 5 different iced coffee shows. Really cool. But everybody was awesome. Coffee exchange. Oh God, I can't name all 37, but everybody was cool.
Great.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, if we sadly missed out on the great iced coffee caper,
sure,
we of course have another opportunity coming up in September for the next food fight.
September will be the inaugural search for the best scoop shop in Rhode Island. So we're going to have at least 15 ice cream parlors offering 1 complimentary single scooped cone or cup to folks that come in with a coupon.
Sounds delicious.
That's right.
Who can say no to ice cream?
rifoodfights.com. That's rifoodfights.com.
And so if we want to take part in it, how much is it to get the book of coupons?
It's $20.
So that's a great deal. I mean, you think most places a small ice cream, $4, $4.50.
Yep, 15 times.
You go to 4 or 5. You've already paid for it.
Absolutely. You go for 1 or 2. Yeah, it's a great deal. It's a great deal for the folks that buy the coupons. It's a great deal for the folks that participate in it. We're showing 70% of the people using the coupons have never been to the spot before. So it's a brand new customer acquisition, which is the name of the game in this market, and it's in Rhode Island. So new customer acquisition, here's where it gets technical, but I don't care. You're watching. So the new customer acquisition cost is the cost of is your marketing, is a retail or restaurant's marketing cost over the course of a year divided by the total number of new people that come into their store. In Rhode Island, that number is $26 to $28 per person. Which is what it is. And with these events, for this one, it's the cost of an ice cream cone. So
That's great.
The ROI is significant.
And yeah, so what a great way, not for your local businesses to get new people, but also for locals. I know, especially in Rhode Island, we're famous for our traditions. We go to our same coffee shops and our same restaurants, and this is a great excuse to go out and see what else is out there.
Yeah, good for you.
Take a trip to another part of the state you don't usually visit. Go down to South County and see something new.
It is. So yeah. So people will cross bridges to go.
That's big doings in Rhode Island.
People used to be, they wouldn't go somewhere unless they packed a sandwich. But yeah, people are going to Westerly. They're going to Lincoln. It really is an amazing group of people that are participating. Yeah, it's fun.
And so how long have you guys been?
So we've been doing it for 7 years. We've been doing the coupon platform for 5 years. So this is going into our 5th year.
Great. And
Yeah.
so what have been some of the most popular food fights so far?
Shoot, it depends on what month it is. I mean, wings is always huge. Wings in January, then donuts in February.
Who can say no to donuts?
Right. Sandwiches in March. The Big Burger Blowout in May. Iced coffee, summer celebration, tacos, pizza, bagels. Shoot, what did I leave out? Iced coffee. You name it, we'll do it.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, it's fun.
And so how do you decide who takes parts? Do the businesses sign up, or do you approach them?
So we put out a call for nominations, and we reach out to the restaurants, and we tell them that, you know, we let them know that they were nominated in that space, and we tell them exactly, you know, what it involves, and if they like to participate, they do.
Great.
Yeah.
And so we have Scoop Shop coming up in September.
Yep.
What else do we have to look forward to?
So September is the Scoop Shop. October is Taco Mania. Taco Mania is awesome.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, Tallulah's and Rancho Grande, always on top. So after that is Lord of the Pies. I think it's the 5th annual Lord of the Pies. The search for the best slice of pizza in Rhode Island.
lot of great contenders there.
Ton. It's I think I'm pulling a number out of my ear, but I think we had 27 participants, restaurants participating last year.
That is a lot of pizza
It's
for one
crazy. And then we have a cookie event in December, and then the Lord of the Wings is in January. Yeah, it's a good one, right? And Lord of the Wings, Boneheads, I think they've won it 17 years in a row.
Well deserved.
They're awesome. Good folks. Killer folks. And then after that is donuts. And Need Donuts is one. I brought Need Donuts. They're in the back. Everybody eat your donuts.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, that's it.
So there's something for everybody then.
I think so. Is that you?
No. So there's something for everybody, and it's a great opportunity to go out and try some new things. And what would you say to someone who's maybe a little on the fence about whether or not they want to? Well, should I buy a coupon book? What?
Oh,
why should I do it?
You know what? If you have to ask that question, we don't need to. I'm teasing. It's because really, so we're curating a less of a Groupon crowd. It's less about folks. It really is interesting to me anyway, because it's mine. It's become less of a what can I get for as little money, and more about where can I find new places, and that's the crowd that we're really working with.
So a lot of foodies.
Lots of
people who are
foodies.
looking for something different.
Yeah, everybody it seems like everybody is excited about finding new places that they've never been to, and getting there and checking it out.
It's a good excuse to eat a lot of ice cream.
It seems like a good excuse. I don't really need a good excuse, but if I can provide
Who really does?
If I can provide one for others, I'm happy to do that.
Great. It sounds like a great gift as well if you're not sure what to get someone.
Lots of, right around Christmas, we have a big upsurge in sales. Mother's Day and Father's Day, lots of gifts. It's a fun gift.
Do you limit how many you sell, or can anybody who wants to take part?
Well, it's a function of, we're very sensitive to the amount of product that the restaurants are giving. So we keep a close eye on it, and we keep in contact with the restaurants. And there's we keep an eye on it. Every one of the events sells out.
Wow.
Yeah, we could, and in theory, of course, we could sell an infinite number, but we're sensitive to the amount of.
Don't want to put too much strain on the businesses.
Exactly.
Great.
Exactly.
Well,
good question, though. Great question.
Thank you, and thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it, and congratulations to Nitro and Borealis as well, and
everybody else.
And everyone else who took part, everyone who sipped iced coffee and submitted their votes.
Right on.
And for those of you who didn't take part, you can find the best Scoop Shop coming up next month.
rifoodfights.com. That's rifoodfights.com.
Thank you so much to Jim Nellis here
Thanks.
with the Rhode Island Food Fights. Thanks so much. We'll be right back in just a minute with our last guest of the hour.
Bye.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. We are here with our last guest of the hour, Kyle Hardendorf. He is the coordinator of Floodfest. Welcome, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about Floodfest.
Yeah, well, Floodfest is it's a small festival that we do for music out of Foster, Rhode Island. We have about 10 to 11 bands that play throughout the day constantly. And we just try to highlight, the local music scene that comes out of the Rhode Island and surrounding areas, and out of the northwestern region that I think sometimes gets overlooked as far as music goes. We offer, drinks for everyone. We have food cooked to order. We have vendors that come down and they sell their arts and their, different kind of crafts, and it's really a good time.
Sounds like a lot of fun and a good way to experience all the best things the community has to offer.
Yeah.
And so where is it being held?
It's at a Little Rhodey Vassa Park in Foster, Rhode Island. I believe it's on 10 Boswell Trail. And it's a nice little park. We work with them. They kind of make it possible for us. About 6 years ago, we had approached them, Steve Malik, who's of Steve Malik and the Electric Flood, which is kind of the band that we named the festival after. He had approached them, and we had an idea. We had a bunch of bands. I played in bands for about 10 years, and we've played with each other at different gigs, and we'll invite each other to different gigs. And we've always kind of talked about, how can we get a gig together where we can all play? And, we kicked that around for a long time, and then eventually Steve spoke with Vassa Park, and they had played music there before, and they were interested. And now 6 years later, we're doing our 6th Floodfest, and it's just like a big party, and for the northwestern region and for Rhode Island, if you can make it out.
It sounds like a lot of fun, and that was going to be my next question was why Floodfest?
Yeah, exactly. So it's Steve Malik and the Electric Flood. They're a band that plays around the area. Classic rock, jam-driven stuff. And Steve was the one who approached them, and we said, you know what, you set this up, let's call it Floodfest. And that's how the name came, and it's kind of stuck,
It's catchy.
People know it, so, and they play every single year, and they're kind of like our headliner now. Steve Malik and the Electric Flood, and they'll be playing at the end of the night, so it'll be a great time.
And so you said you have 10 to 12 bands, which is just a massive amount for local talent. And how do you go about recruiting people to take part?
Well, I've been playing for a long time, and I've kind of have a network of people that I talk to, and I kind of try to pay attention to what's going on with the local music scene around me, and just pay attention who's playing what, who's been doing a lot of gigs, who's releasing music. Some of the bands that we're having play this year, we have Backroads, they've been pretty popular in Rhode Island. They're a country music band.
They were on in the Alex and Ani Lounge, so you can see their signature on our wall.
Yeah, so they'll be playing at Floodfest. We have Steve Malik and the Electric Flood, and we have a band called Slurp. They're a funk band, and they've been blowing up kind of in the Providence area. And then Sun Gun, and I have a folk band, Hollow Turtle. So we got a lot of different, and some blues bands too. So we got a lot of different genres to offer too. Which
something
is
for everybody.
Right, exactly, yes.
Great, and so you mentioned there are going to be some vendors as well. What kind of food and what can we expect?
We kind of, we make your food to order. The park we have a staff that will help you park, will help you order food, hamburgers, hot dogs, pulled pork, whatever they kind of decide to cook up. It's all really good, made to order. We offer, beers and liquor and non-alcoholic drinks too. And we try to just, give you guys everything you need for a hot summer day, and hopefully it'll be nice and sunny, and everyone will need to, get some good liquids in them. Hopefully that's beer, but it doesn't have to be. So.
If it's anything like today,
I know
they'll need plenty of hydration.
Yes, exactly.
It certainly is a scorcher out there.
Definitely.
And so, how much is it to enter?
Yeah, so it's $20 for a ticket, and that's pretty much going to get you in for the entire day. Doors open at 11, music starts at 12, and we play all the way until about 10:30, 11 at night. That's when Steve Malik and the Electric Flood will go on, and then we will, and we offer music, drinks, food, the vendors with their art. And it's in Foster, Rhode Island, so it's really like a woodsy scene. We got a nice pond in the back where you can kind of walk around, and we light up some like tiki torches and stuff. We kind of try to set the mood a little bit, and it's really good atmosphere, and everyone's really relaxed. It's a kid-friendly environment. Children under 12 get in free, so if you have any kids, feel free to bring them. Your dogs, just make sure they're on a leash, but feel free to bring your dogs, and everyone's welcome.
Sounds like a great event for the whole family, and it's coming up soon. It's on the 18th.
Yeah,
yes?
August 18th. Yep, at Foster, Little Roadie, Vassar Park, 10 Boswell Trail.
Great.
Foster, Rhode Island, Floodfest 18. You can buy tickets online at www.theelectricflood.com. We sell tickets online, so you can get them, or you can find our Facebook page. Facebook, it's Floodfest'18. And you should be able to locate it. And if you have any questions, interact with our page. Go like the page, and we can't wait to see everyone show up.
Great. Well, thanks so much for coming up, promoting this great local event. It's a great way to support local artists, support local musicians, and have a great day out with the family.
Yeah, I was on the way up here. I was listening to some Bob Marley on the way up, and Trenchtown Rock came on, and a good quote that I heard was, one good thing about music is when it hits, you feel no pain. Hit me with music. And that's what I'm trying to do, people. I want to hit you with music, and maybe it's music that you didn't even know was there. So come on out and, experience it with everyone.
Great. It sounds like there's really something for everyone. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Kyle Hardendorf, he is here to talk about Floodfest 2018. It's coming up soon. Don't want to miss it. And thanks so much for all of you for joining us this hour. Kate's up next in just a few minutes, so tune in at 4 for her show with news and politics right here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center.